All right. If you're ready, we can start anytime.
Well, then
I was just
let's do
waiting for
this.
you to go through and make sure you had everybody that could hear us. So perfect. So go ahead and get started. So I am Debbie Mitchell from Roseborough Travel, and thank you for joining today. Today we have Sebastien Leroy with us from AmaWaterways, and he's going to talk to us about the Ama experience that you will have when you're taking a river cruise with them. So specifically, I believe today we're going to be talking about the Tulip Time itinerary. So Sebastien, I'm really excited about this trip, and I'm looking forward to everything you have to tell us. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take it from here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Debbie. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As you just heard, my name is Sebastien Leroy. I have actually a few different hats at AmaWaterways. I've been a cruise manager with this company for the past 10 years. And as you might hear already, my accent is not really the local one. I am from France, from Normandy originally, but I'm calling you today, I'm contacting you out of Naples, Florida, so not too far from you. And yeah, I said I am a cruise manager, but also I have the chance to support our travel partners here in Central and in Northern Florida. So thank you for having me again. Thank you to Roseborough Travel for setting this afternoon up. We will be talking about Tulip Time cruises, something that is very, very well known at the beginning of the year. But for those, before starting with that, for those of you who are not familiar with AmaWaterways, I would just like to introduce our company to you. And so you see your host this afternoon, and AmaWaterways. Some of you may not have heard of the company yet. And the reason for that is that actually we do not advertise. What we do is that we work with our travel partners exclusively. What do I mean with exclusively? But the number will talk to you. Approximately 97% of our bookings are made by our travel partners. And I really say partners, I say travel advisors, because they're the ones who are in the know and who will be able to assist you when it comes to making plans for your vacation. I've had the pleasure to work for quite a few years now with Debbie and Amanda and all the team at Roseborough Travel. It's always great. I mean, unfortunately, lately I was not able to visit them, but that's another topic. And next time, I'm sure we will be able to make an event in person. Now, talking about AmaWaterways, for those of you who are not even familiar with what river cruising is, I like to start with this slide because I think it shows already. The sentence explains a lot, because ocean cruises will take you to a country. River cruises will take you through a country. And once you've understood that, and if you just look at the picture, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. This area is on the Rhine River, and you see, what do we see? We see villages around, we see the castles, and the beauty of all these is that really your ships dock at the heart of the main attractions, at the heart of the cities, and also you have very short distances to cover compared to an ocean cruise, where sometimes you will be for a day at sea. We do not have days at sea, but we have sea days, and so there's just a little difference between how you ride day at sea and sea days. I mean, we see a lot of things when we are on a river cruise ship, and why are we here, and how have we arrived here? But thanks to these folks that you see here on the picture. Our owners, two of them are the co-founders, and the third person, who is the gentleman on the right of the screen, he's actually the son of our third founder. But we have Rudi Schreiner, architect, coming from Austria, and who is the CEO of our company. And we have Christine Karst, who is our executive vice president. She's also a co-founder, and actually now she's also the wife of Rudi. Great personality, absolutely amazing person. I hope that someday you will be able to meet them on the ship, because they are truly river cruise lovers, and they are a lot on board our ships. And so is Gary Murphy, who is our Senior Vice President of Sales and co-owner, as I just mentioned. 18 years of existence for the company, still owned and operated by the same families. And that's absolutely great for us, for you as well, because having these folks and not a huge, a huge number of different people who make decisions, that changes a lot of things, especially in times of COVID. We've had the possibility to be much more reactive because we can go when we identify an issue, an improvement possibility, we can really go directly to them and they are more than happy to answer. So great people who are really the soul of this company. And I'm not using these terms very often, but it's really what they are. I had the chance to be in a meeting with them yesterday again. Really, I hope that you will get to know them someday when you're on board one of our ships. Now, where do they take us? Where do we operate? But as you can see on the picture, mainly in Europe. Europe is really the core of our business, if I may say, because but why? Because we have a lot of history there. We have a lot of different rivers that flow in this area, and of course, today we will focus on this part up there. And that's a beautiful part. A lot of history, a lot of different aspects, because history is not for everyone. But when we talk about tulip times, well, we can, of course, assume that we will be talking about flowers. We will, but not only. And I will try to describe to you what are the different aspects, what you can expect when you will go on this cruise, which is absolutely amazing. And you're going at the right time of the year. And the group, there is a group that has been set by Roseborough Travel. And the date that has been chosen is a great one, and I will explain to you why in a few minutes. And of course, I mentioned Europe, but we're also present in Southeast Asia, in Vietnam and Cambodia. So that's on the Mekong River with our Amadara. We are present in Africa. So that's really between Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So right here on the Chobe River, and that's really a unique experience. Why unique? Because there is only one ship on this river, and that's ours. So I can tell you one thing is that nobody else can offer what we offer there. And if you look right here, you see Egypt, and Egypt is for 2021. And we might talk about Egypt in another session in the near future. But for today, we will go to the Netherlands. And actually, we are already present in the Netherlands since July 5th. AmaWaterways is currently the only North American river cruise line cruising in Europe. So as I said, we are the only North American river cruise line. It doesn't mean that we are cruising with North American guests. We're cruising with European guests at the moment, and it's a great thing because July 5th until now, so we've been cruising for almost 3 months, and I will answer already your questions that I can hear, even if it's not there yet. How many COVID cases have we had? Zero, and that's due to all the safety measures that we have implemented. We had protocols that we had been thinking about. We've been working a lot, of course, with the local authorities, with the European Union, with the national safety authorities, and everything is going very, very well. There is a rule at the moment, and this has been changing already 2 times. It's concerning the number of regarding the number of passengers allowed on board the ship. We are now at approximately 109 officially is the number of passengers that we can have on board a ship. We operate with a maximum of 100 guests on board. Our crew is there doing a fabulous job. As you can see, we have of course, plexiglass in areas when you're in direct contact with the crew. This is the reception area. We have that at the cruise manager's desk, at the hotel manager desk. We ask our guests to wear masks where the physical distancing is not possible. Because you will not hear me talking about social distancing, because what we are really talking about is a physical distance, not a social distance. We want to be social, we have to stay physically a little bit distant. So when the physical distancing is not possible, where is that? But it is inside the ship, in the corridors, when you go to the cabins. It is in the lounge when you're going to take a seat. So as long as you're standing or walking around, we will ask you to wear a face mask. It is also the same thing in a restaurant, and basically it doesn't change much of what you're doing nowadays. When you go in a restaurant, for those of you who would have been already, you will be asked to wear a mask as long as you're not seated. And that's exactly the same thing on board the ship. When you're in public areas but outside, so meaning the sun deck or in the front part of the lounge outside on the ship, there the physical distancing is possible, so you're not required to wear a mask. And what happens once you're seated? But it looks like this. So I know the picture looks a little bizarre, because basically we see these four people, and I will tell you about the two guests on the left in a few seconds, because I think they're worth being mentioned. There is this plexiglass, and basically the idea was really to show that there is some separation, so that there is no concern when you are sitting. Basically, if they were sitting the other way around and facing other people, I think there is a comfort in having this plexiglass, and the idea was really to show that no matter how or where you're seated, the view is not blocked. You still enjoy the view that you have, and that's very important on the river, because as I said at the beginning, you are not at sea. You will see the banks of the river all the time, especially when you're here in the lounge. So you want to be able to enjoy that. Now, why do we have these folks, the lady and the gentleman on the left? Is because we asked them, they're absolutely beautiful people, and they started cruising with us on July 5th. And what happened is that they were so impressed, they're German nationals, so impressed with what we are doing and what service we're providing on board, but also with the fact that they can enjoy, all the towns, and they had time, all the towns from the river, going into town from a river cruise ship. And the activity, as I said, is very minimal, because we're the only ones, at least as a North American cruise line, we're the only ones cruising. And they decided to go for another cruise. So they did a second. And then they went for a third. So after the third one, we said, okay, maybe you want to be part of it, because I mean, you're the best ambassadors we can have. That's why we have them on these pictures. I mean, absolutely, I've had the chance to talk to them. I mean, absolutely beautiful people. Now, our crew, that's a picture that we took, and the crew has not changed. Our crew is ready to welcome our guests and has been trained very, very in-depth. And I can tell you this because I'm still part-time cruise manager, so I'm also taking part to this training. And I just wanted to show you this picture because you see here, I was mentioning the physical distancing not being possible, but that's exactly what we see behind Captain Ron here. That's the corridor where you have the stateroom. So that's where you would need to wear a mask. So that you know. But the cruise manager, captain, hotel director, Chef Robert, and chief cabin stewardess and their teams are here to welcome us, and they're doing a fantastic job. And I hope that you will get to enjoy that very soon. Our ships look like this. This is really the vast majority of our fleet. We operate at the moment 22 cruise ships. Number 23, 24, and 25 are in construction as we speak, and they will be ready very, very soon. So when you look at the cruise ship, like our Ama Christina here, there are three things actually that will be common to 99% of European cruise ships. It's the length, one, the width, two, and the height. Basically, why am I saying this? Because you might have heard of other river cruise lines, and I'm not going to name them, but some of them mention their patented long ships, for example. Well, I can tell you that they might be patented, but they're not longer than anybody else's, simply because you have a physical constraint when you're on the river. That's the size of the lock. And if your ship is longer than 443 feet, which corresponds to 135 meters, which is the exact length of Ama Christina, well, you cannot fit in the lock. And if you don't fit in the lock, but you will have another problem, is that you will not go anywhere on the river. I mean, you will be cruising for a few miles, but that's pretty much it. So we know that a cruise ship on the river so they all have pretty much the same length, 443 feet. Then most of them have the same width, 38 feet, and all of them have the same height, and that's approximately 14 feet, which corresponds to 6 meters and 80 centimeters, because they all have to go under the same bridges. Now, how does it look inside? Well, on board our ships, as I told you, we have less guests at the moment, but in general, we have less guests on board our ships. And the concurrent goes to up to 192 guests per ship. On this size of vessel, we have a maximum capacity in regular times that is 155. So about 37, 38 people difference. And that, when you think about it, is very important, because if you have 38 people less on board a ship, this means that you have 19 cabins less to build. And this means that this space, you can use it for a lot of other things. And that's why we have not one dining room, we have 2 dining rooms. We have the capacity to embark bikes. All our ships have at least 25 bikes, so that you can use during guided bike tours or also on your own. We have a swimming pool, we have a spa, we have a hairdresser salon. So some others might have some of these amenities, but not all of them at the same time. So that's something that is very important. You see that we have our twin balconies. That's 80% of our cabins have featured these twin balconies, so one French balcony and one step outside balcony. That's something very important, we think, and especially now, because we have introduced a feature that allows our guests to have in-room dining. I mean, we know that some guests are not necessarily very comfortable having dinner in an area with others. I will tell you that with the maximum of 100 guests on board, there is a lot of space. But if you want to have dinner or lunch or even breakfast in your room, no problem. You can absolutely do that. And what would be better when you are on a Tulip Time cruise, maybe not to be outside there, even if you could use it, but just to be able to look at the scenery in the morning, and then to see this cruise. I mean, why do I say maybe not outside? Well, because the Tulip Time cruises are at the beginning of the year, and while the scenery is beautiful because it's the beginning of the spring, it might still be a little chilly at breakfast time in the morning. So we have a lot of programs on board. We will talk about the excursions in a few moments, but we also have a wellness program. And you see Victor here, one of our wellness hosts. And a wellness program is a program that runs basically in complement of the excursion program. So we have a lot of different classes that are offered on board, starts every morning, even before breakfast time, with the early stretching classes, core strengthening, introduction to yoga. There's really a wide range of activities that are offered, as well as you can see on the right, TheraBand classes, some will do Zumba classes, some do Tai Chi. And this is something that is complementary. So you don't have to, everything I'm telling you at the moment, actually the whole presentation, everything is included in your price for your cruise. So you don't have to worry about being nickel and dimed for anything. What I'm telling you is included. So you can have this, access to this wellness program. You can also have access to your wellness host as your personal fitness host. So if you have any of the wellness host as a fitness host on a one-on-one session, this would be an extra cost, but all the other programs are included. All the excursions are included, and especially when it comes to this program, Tulip Time, you will see that it's important, because I can tell you that if you want to discover the Netherlands and Belgium, well, you're in for a treat, because you will be touring morning, afternoon, and sometimes evening. So I always like to say something when I talk about all these tours, because they're all included, but something that is very important, and that I tell to all my guests at the beginning of every cruise, is my favorite sentence, is you can, but you don't have to. Meaning, if you want to go to all tours, you can. If you decide that you want to relax because you've been doing 7 tours during the 3 first days, feel free to relax. You're on vacation. You're not on a forced march to visit all the sites. And sometimes you will want to go, but just on your own. And if the ship is docked, feel free to go. Ask your reception team. Ask your cruise manager if there are very specific sites that you would like to see. I don't know, when you're in Amsterdam and you would like to visit, the Nemo Museum, for example, the Dutch Marine Museum, you can do that. If you want to visit the Van Gogh Museum, which is not part of the regular tour, you can do that, and we will help you. So that's why you have a lot of possibilities. Tours, walking tours that include different pace, because we know that not everybody walks at the same pace. So that's why we offer you the choice between gentle walking tours, regular walking tours, active walking tours. If you're even more active than the active, you can do a bike tour. I would tell you in most of the times that you can take a hike, because most of our itineraries include hikes. But I will tell you very frankly that the Netherlands and Belgium are being famous in Europe for being the so-called flatlands. So you will not hike a lot when you're up there because everything is very, very flat. But if you want to hike up and down the stairs on board the ship, feel free to do so. Now let's go a little bit in this beautiful area of the world. So the group that Roseborough Travel has put together, and Debbie will be escorting this group, will take place, the embarkation will take place on March 28th. March 28th of 2021, and so this means that if you would like to arrive in Amsterdam a couple of days before, you see that here on the map there is a 2 right next to Amsterdam. It's because AmaWaterways offers on all itineraries either a pre or a post, or sometimes both, pre and post cruise extensions. So there is a pre-extension that is offered on this one. This would make the program start on March 26th. Where you would be in a hotel at the heart of Amsterdam, most likely the Barbizon Palace, which is one of the most famous hotels that we have in this city. And we use absolutely great hotels. We have 3 of them that we use, but really great times when you're there. It will give you the possibility to discover this beautiful city that is Amsterdam. But the most important is that you will be there at Tulip Time. So that's, I guess, the most famous picture. I mean, one of the most famous pictures that people think about when they think about the Netherlands: windmills and tulips. But of course, there is much more to it than that in this area of the world. You will start in Amsterdam, as I said, and you will visit all these beautiful different parts of the cities, like the Jordaan district, like the different canal streets. You might have the possibility to see the house of Anne Frank, and in this case, the house of Anne Frank is something very, very specific that you would have to reserve in advance. If you heard of that and you're interested in the history of Anne Frank, this is something that you would want to look up in advance. But when it comes to the tours, you will see the cities, as I said, on a boat. You will see the city by bus. You will see the city walking. There is a lot to discover in Amsterdam because you have approximately 250 miles of canals just in the inner city. So there is a lot to walk around and walk along. And of course, as I said, so you see here the boats that we have. So per ship, we have 3 boats because we don't do big groups. The important is to have small groups so that you can enjoy a maximum these cities, and also so that your guides can give you also the best information about the city. Because if you have a group of 40, 50 people, well, first of all, at the moment with COVID, it's not allowed, but we never do this. We always do small groups because we don't want the guides to be stressed. We want the guides to be able to give you the best information possible in the best conditions possible. So when we have the boats, they are privatized. Your guide, there is the captain, of course, and then the guide gives you all the information you may need. We have, of course, small, as I said, small groups, but also very specific excursions. Like we have the possibility to visit the floating flower market. The floating flower market, it's in the heart of the city. It's very close to the hotels, not far from the ship either. But this is something that you can discover if you go to this pre-extension. I was talking about the Jordaan district. You see the Jordaan here. So they have this has always been the Jordaan since the 17th century, an area for workers, for hard workers. These were mainly the people who were working in the polders. So basically working on gaining land on the sea, and you will learn a lot about them. You will learn a lot about this Dutch culture and this Dutch engineering culture that they have. And you will visit the Jordaan. That now it's a very hip part of Amsterdam. You see the gastronomy. So I'm not sure I put gastronomy here, but when you see the stroopwafel, I mean, it's something, it's very sweet. It's absolutely wonderful. You will love to eat them. The only thing I cannot tell you is it's not calorie free, but who cares? You will be on vacation, so go enjoy the stroopwafels. You can try them in Amsterdam, but then you can try them in another place. It's in Rotterdam. And in Rotterdam, you will discover something completely different. And that's when we start our cruise. So we will be in different places. You will be in the Netherlands, you will be in Belgium. Rotterdam, look at these houses. And I will come back to the stroopwafels in a very few moments. But have you ever seen, and these are real windows. So when you see the inclination, that you can imagine that architecture is something very special in Rotterdam. I love this city because there is a huge contrast between the old part of Rotterdam, which is the old harbor that you will see because your ship is docked right next to it, approximately 5 minutes walk from the whole old harbor, but also very close to this. And that's the market hall. And you see these houses that I showed you on the first picture, they're right here, just outside. And that's the great market hall. And look at all these. So of course, you see, so you have several restaurants, shops, etc., etc. Here you have the different booths because it's a fixed market hall. I mean, one made of concrete. But all these up here, including here on the ceiling, these are condos. These are apartments. The genius of architecture that you will find in this city is absolutely stunning. And you can visit Rotterdam on a walking tour. And there, in this very place, this one right here, so where my mouse is, where the cursor is, that's a stroopwafel place where we will take you, and they make them fresh in front of you. It is absolutely amazing. You will, I mean, that's also included, so don't worry. You will be able to have a nice taste of the stroopwafels here in Rotterdam. And if you don't want to just visit it walking, we have a superb bike tour, which we call the architectural bike tour. Which will take you all around the city. You will also see what we call now the Hotel New York, which used to be actually the station where people would arrive when they wanted to move away from Europe to go to the United States, or actually better said, to go to North America in the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century. And you will see this iconic place that is there that has been transformed into a hotel. But it's a beauty to be just on this tour, and you will see how modern it has become. You will discover the Erasmus Bridge and very, very modern, basically, pieces of architecture. But that's the old harbor, as you can see, with a completely different architecture right here. And this is something that you will see in the morning. From there, you will also have the possibility to visit Delft and Delfthaven. So Delfthaven is just outside Rotterdam, but Delfthaven and Delft, the city, Royal Delft, is very important for the Oranje family, the Orange family, that you might have heard of, because it's the ruling family in the Netherlands. And it's very famous for what? For the blue porcelain. And you will have, you see here on the bottom right, you see one of these beautiful pieces of porcelain that you have there that you will visit in Delft. And I was mentioning a lot of different points of interest or a possibility, culturally speaking. We have a lot of different aspects that are covered in a city. The architecture, and of course, if you see that's the town hall, which is a mix. Actually, it's the town hall and the main church. It's the Oude Kerk. But it's also part of the town hall, and you see that in quite a few cities actually in Europe. But you will learn about architecture. You can learn about paintings. Johannes Vermeer, of course. You will hear about Van Gogh. You will hear about Peter Paul Rubens when you go in Belgium. So a lot of different aspects. There is something for everybody there, and you will get to see that in Delft. And just one little thing about the picture that you see right there. This is something that you will see on the ship. So this kind of collage of different pictures with a little text at the top. This is something that you will get to see on the ship at your cruise manager's desk every day. And so just for everybody to remember, where are we going tomorrow? Every day you will have the program or a description of the places that you will see the next day. I'll give you another example. Why are the Netherlands well known? And I mentioned it at the beginning when we saw the tulips and the windmills. Well, the windmills, we will go to Kinderdijk. And Kinderdijk is absolutely amazing because you have these 26 windmills. And they're all from the 17th and 18th century. And sometimes, I mean, of course you will hear about them, but sometimes you would like to learn a little bit about how do they work and how does a polder work. And there you see polder water, lower basin, and how the water is carried away in little canals and ejected in the Rhine River to gain, or actually in the sea, to gain land on the sea. So really great explanations that you will get every day. And Kinderdijk, once again, it's very easy. The ship is docked right outside this polder. You will visit one of the windmills because they are all originals, 17th and 18th century, as I said, but all still inhabiting and all still fulfilling their duty. This means we are still evacuating water because the water is coming from the ground, it's coming from below. So it is something that it's completely working, and it's great to see. This is a great experience for everyone. Now, of course, I'm talking about the Netherlands, but we have to talk also because it's Tulip times, and we have to still talk about Belgium, because we will go there. We will go to Antwerp. We will go to Ghent and Brugge, and you will learn about the classical architecture you have in Antwerp and in Belgium in general. Beautiful places, and just that's an overview of downtown Antwerp. And you see here, that's not a river. Actually, this is really coming from the sea. So that's why we're talking about Dutch and Belgian waterways. We don't say the Rhine, or we don't, I mean, sometimes you could say la Meuse, but that's not in this area. But this is tidal in this area, and that's a great thing. Everything that is tidal means that there will never be any issue with low water or high water. I mean, every 6 hours, everything changes, but you are docked right here. So you just walk outside your ship and you're in the heart of the city. The heart of the city looks like this. The architecture, and you might recognize something that you've just seen in Amsterdam. Yes, these high houses, a lot of windows. And also on most of them, I mean, it's a bit more difficult to see here, but all these houses here, where you see the top windows, they all had a crane at the top, because these were warehouses in the old days. And how did you show your power, how rich you were? But you showed it with the number of windows that you had, and because the taxes were paid. I mean, the taxes were on the habitation, sorry, were paid based on the number of windows that you had. So you can imagine that when we look at this house here, well, this was certainly a person that was a little bit more rich than this one here. And this is really something that is absolutely amazing. And this square, which is the old town hall square, so this is the town hall here, and you will have here the whole square completely decorated with a parterre of flowers, mainly tulips, of course, but not only, bulb flowers in general. And what I said about these areas is that you will learn about painting, about architecture, but everything is linked to these flowers. You will go to Middelburg, and Middelburg is very famous for what? For being very close to something called Keukenhof. And Keukenhof looks like this. And you will have excursions that are completely dedicated to tulips. And I can tell you one thing: when you will go to Keukenhof, there are always two excursions. One that departs very early, and one that departs a little bit later for those of you who would like to sleep in. That day, I recommend everybody wakes up early. Why that? Because we will go and arrive there at the opening of the park. It is a park, I call it the Walt Disney World of Flowers. You must imagine what you see here is just a very little piece of Keukenhof. And if you look in the back, you see a lot of different designs everywhere. And this one is from last year, so it will change next year. What happens is that you have 40 gardeners. That's a state park, a national park in the Netherlands. And they plant every year 7 million bulbs. 7 million. And you have these 40 gardeners taking care of it all the time. And it's not like, what I like to show is also this, because we have our guests going and you can be in there. I mean, the Dutch people want, I mean, of course, you have to be very respectful of all these flowers, but they want you to be part of it, part of the scenery. And you have these little ways, you can walk through this sea of flowers. It is absolutely amazing. And what you will get to enjoy there. And of course, you will have also, that's the park, that's the show. And that's really for these people is really showing every year what can be done with these beautiful flowers. You will also have an excursion in Horn, and Horn is an area where there you will learn about the farms, so the tulip farms, and you will see all these, I mean, these areas with rows on hundreds of yards of flowers that are sent over all over Europe and also all over the world every day of the year. And of course, you have also these greenhouses, because you would say, well, great, you said that the tulip time is only in March and April, but we can get tulips now. Well, yes, you can, because they're all grown in greenhouses, as I said. And you will learn about that, how they've been doing this since the 16th century. 16th century, actually, all these flowers were even used at the beginning with their perfume. I mean, it's not very strong, but they were used to make perfume. So of course, after that, what happened is that the roses took over because they were much more powerful in their scent. But you will learn all that, and it will be absolutely amazing. We will take you also to another place near Amsterdam, which is called Zandseschans. And Zandseschans is a little village that is. It looks like time would have stopped. So people who live there, it really looks like you're going back 300 years. And you will learn how the Dutch people, for example, carve, these wooden shoes. You will go there and you will see them doing that with the machine that has been working for 350 years. And the machine is still working in front of you and carving that. It's absolutely an amazing experience that you will have there. But what I'm showing you now is something different. It's for 2022. But I wanted to put it in this presentation because you will have the chance to see what many people won't. Because the Floriade, which will be in Armchair, which is just outside Amsterdam, the Floriade is the largest horticultural exhibition in the world. It only happens once every 10 years. It's an exhibition that lasts 4 months. And in 2022, it will be from the end of April. Actually, it's a bit more than that because it will go until the end of September. And it's, as I said, a horticultural show. So it's not only about the tulips, it's also about the future and what the Dutch people, the Belgian people, and actually all peoples of the world, because there is a pavilion, like for a universal exhibition, there is a pavilion by country, and everybody comes and showcases what they are doing in terms of sustainability, of how can they make housing being more efficient, what is coming tomorrow in terms of progress, for example, with the wind energy. So all these, anything that is related to nature and how to be more respectful of nature is represented there. And where I say that you will have the chance to see something that others won't, is that I was mentioning this to Debbie a little earlier, is that the chance that you guys will have is that COVID, I mean, with all the bad things that it has brought something very good, is that it has allowed these folks to work way faster. And you will see all these places almost completely ready, because everything is almost completely ready now. So there will be some pavilions that will not be built because some technologies will continue to be improved until then. But you will get to see with no tourists around, these pavilions from the Floriade, and that will be something absolutely wonderful. Now, when you will go there, there are a few things that we would like to recommend to you, that I would like to recommend. Go and use bikes. If you love biking, use them. As I said, we have a lot of bikes. So what will happen when you will book your cruise, you will go to Debbie or to one of the team members at Roseborough, maybe Tiffany, Amanda, and you will give them your deposit. So what happens is that you have a $400 per person deposit, and after that, the final payment is due 90 days prior to the cruise. So since we're getting a little closer, I mean, that's a good thing to know this kind of information. And so I said 90 days prior to the cruise is the final payment that is due. What is also possible is 60 days prior to the cruise is to check in. You can do your check-in online. And again, you can, but you don't have to. What we want, I mean, the only thing that you would have to is to fill out the medical questionnaire, because that's what we do at the moment, for obvious reasons, as you can imagine. But you will also have the possibility to check in online for the tours. Never feel pressured to sign up for all the tours when you have the possibility. When you will be on board the ship, you will meet with your cruise manager. You will meet with everybody, of course, on board the ship. But on day 2, so basically you will have the first night on the ship. And then the next morning, your cruise manager will give you a cruise overview where you will have the possibility to sign up at that moment. So don't feel forced. There is space for everyone. You know that we don't have this, it is limited to 20 people here, it's limited to 5 people there. What we do is, if we have, let's say, 40 guests, but instead, and since at the moment we can only have a maximum of 15 guests per group, what we will do, we will have 3 guides coming for you. So that's what we will do. So if you want to book a tour because you absolutely want to see the Rijksmuseum when you will be in Amsterdam, fine. Absolutely, go for it, because it will give us also a good indication of how many people want to go where. But if you don't know, and I would guess, since you're going to book this trip, I would think that you don't know the area that well. And that's why, wait for your cruise manager to give you the information, because I think it is very hard to book a tour based on 2 or 3 lines of a description that you would get on the website. So feel free to ask also your travel advisors. They know, and you know, they know about 99, that's what I say, 99.9% of the answers. And when it comes to the 0.1% of answers that they don't know, well, the good news is that they know my phone number. So we will be more than happy to answer all your questions. So biking, as I said, I mean, great things in the Netherlands, in Belgium. The only place where we do not offer biking is in Amsterdam, and because Amsterdam is, I mean, you have more bikes than cars, but there are also more bike accidents than car accidents, because these people looks like they don't know any rules on the streets. So that's the only place where we do not do a bike tour. For all the rest, the Dutch people are absolutely wonderful, but don't ride a bike with them when you're in Amsterdam. Now, I would like to thank you for joining us, and what we will do now is that I will unmute everyone, and I would like to open it for questions and answers. So feel free to ask us all the questions you would like.
And Sebastien, this is Debbie, and thank you for that. That was just amazing. That was a lot of information, and if I was not excited about this trip already, I certainly am now. I know you said to chime in if I had any thoughts or anything I wanted to share, but I was just watching and listening, and I didn't want to stop you. You had me at the beginning with the oceans take you to the destination, rivers take you through it, and you certainly proved that with that presentation. So thank you for all the information.
Sure,
and I know there's probably some questions that people have, so I'll stop talking now so that somebody else can ask. Yeah.
And I see that many microphones are still muted, so I am unmuted you all. You just need to unmute yourselves. You should see in the menu of on Zoom. You should see a little microphone with mute and unmute. So feel free to do so. Mm-hmm. Paula, okay, Paula has left.
Okay. But yeah.
And again, I mean, the most important is really to reach out to your team at Roseborough Travel. The great news also is that they will help you with everything. I mean, they will help you with the air. They will help you with the cruise itself. It is a beautiful time that you will enjoy there. And many people don't know. I mean, of course, you've heard of Amsterdam, you've heard maybe of Rotterdam, because it is the largest harbor in the world. But I can tell you that I've been in this area of the world with people actually who had no idea we were going there. And I'm not going to expand on that, but it was a very funny trip, and or a fun trip actually. People actually enjoyed it so much that they went back the year after, because nobody had any idea of the rich history, architecture, art, culture. I mean, there is really a ton of things to see there. Tracy, where can we access this recording? I'd love for my husband to see it. Well, so Tracy, what will happen is that we're recording it now. I will send it to the Roseborough team a little bit later today, and for sure, I know that they will be reaching out to you, and you will have the possibility to get the recording.
Yeah, we'll definitely be sharing that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like to go back and see this again. I know I would. It's a lot of information, and I want to go back and make sure I don't miss that Stroop waffle. I want to make sure I get one of those while I'm there.
You will, and they're really that's really good.
They looked amazing, so I definitely want to do that. And I appreciate you sharing too the couple that went back over and over, and even with the glass partition. I think that's good to know what sailing might be like as we move forward, because that's another question that we're getting. Not only when are ships going to go back, because I mean, we really can't answer that, but also what will it be like and what's going to be changing moving forward, and that's a big question people have. So that was a good visual.
It is, and you know, don't forget one thing, Debbie, is that it will continue to evolve. I mean, at the moment, basically, we took everything that is in place at the moment is something that we implemented due to COVID at its worst, let's say. But now, I mean, when you know, I mean, we sure hope that there will be a vaccine available before the end of the year. We sure hope that the situation will get better during the basically the winter, and as everybody will start getting vaccinated. And we will see an evolution. I said we are talking about 100 guests on board the ship at the moment. This has evolved already 3 times. At the beginning, it was 70, and it was based on the size of the ship. Then it went to 85. Now it's 100. We are back. I mean, it's the same thing with the size of the groups. I mean, the size of the groups, to be really frank, it has not changed a lot of things for us, because we were already doing small groups. That's what made us different all the time. We were not going with 40 people on a walking tour. You know, how many gentle walkers? Because I've seen many people in the past saying, well, you know what, I'm not going to go today because I don't want to slow down the rest of the group. And my answer on the ship has always been the same, and it will not change. Is you paid for it, you paid to enjoy, go. That's why we have a gentle walkers group. And I've started gentle walking tours with 1 or 2 people only. So people were like, that's great. The guide is here. So let's enjoy the guide, and let's enjoy the place where we are.
That's good to know. And point to make on that one, that it is ever evolving. So we're talking about, again, for this particular group, as you said, March 28th is the embarkation on this trip. So definitely by then, let's hope that we're back to even more of a state of normal, but looking forward to the trip for sure.
Yeah, so Rhonda, you're asking length of this trip that starts March 28th. So the cruise itself is 7 nights, so it's 8 days. And then if you want to add the pre-extension, so basically that becomes a 10 days.
Right.
But if you want me to make it a 6 months trip, I can organize, I mean, we can organize that too.
I'd like that trip. I think so. Any other questions coming through that we see? Or I know you did unmute everyone, so if anybody wants to ask anything, I guess they can.
Yeah, they're still somehow they have, yeah, it says all participants are unmuted, but okay. People have muted themselves. I mean, and anyway, if there are questions coming, as I said, reach out to the team at Roseborough. They will answer your questions. And as we said, so the recording will be available starting tomorrow to you.
Definitely. We'll make sure to get that out to folks, and especially if you want to contact us at Roseborough. Anybody there can help. Amanda, Tiffany, Alyssa, myself, we're all in the office Monday through Friday to answer any questions. And we'd love to have, of course, as you mentioned, I'll be taking this trip. I'll be going along on the trip. So I'd love to have anybody that wants to join, give me a call and we can sign them up for the trip. I'm looking forward to it. But thank you, Sebastien, very much. We really do appreciate your support at Roseborough. I appreciate you sharing all of this information with everybody. And, you know, I just want to kind of say a quick thank you to everybody for joining today and for taking a little bit of time out of the day to join the call. If there's no other questions, I'll let you close it out, Sebastien.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be with you guys. And yeah, we hope to see you on the ship. We have a lot of nice destinations, so we hope that you will start with this one with Debbie, and that it will be followed by many others. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe. Stay healthy, and see you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone.